So this is kind of a tough topic. It's telling clients not to spend any more money, and with a lot of the clients that I have and had, I developed a good personal relationship with them, so I know what they were trying to do, and I would get them the right pieces of gear that they need to fill in those areas that needed to be complemented. But every so often, I would get a client that would have enough of what they need, but just kept buying more and more and more. And I remember one client. I remember he when I first got him as a client, he had a fancy car, and he came in and he bought a bunch of gear. And then the next time he came in, it was he traded his car in for a cheaper car, and he bought more gear. And then he kept doing that, trading his car in, getting a cheaper car, and buying more gear. And I told him at a certain point, I said, you're going to need some car that works. I mean, you can't keep trading your cars in. And I think you have enough gear to get everything done. And he said, well, George, I look at it this way. If you don't sell me the gear, I'm going to buy it someplace else. And I was like, well, so it put me in a kind of a tight spot. Morally, do I keep selling him the gear? But it's doesn't benefit him in any way. So I think I told him, what, I think maybe you should sit down and analyze what you have and see what you're trying to do rather than buy more gear. And I think he went and bought stuff from some other place, but he came back to me and told me I was right at a certain point. He said, yeah, I bought way too much, and I could have gotten a lot of things done with what I have. And it's, I see these control rooms with just tons and tons and tons of gear in there. And I go, do they really need that? I mean, I was just talking to a client, well, a friend of mine today, and we both know Serban, and we were saying, look at that. The guy mixes, most of the big, hits out of the United States, and we've both been to a studio. It's a computer, a table, couple speakers, some outboard gear. He has a Neve compressor, and that's it. And he's doing everything there, and that needs to get done. So it's kind of whatever gear you have, you get the job done. And there's somebody who can afford to buy whatever he wants to, and he gets the job done. So I just don't understand when people overbuy. They buy way too much gear. Then what do they call it? Gear acquisition syndrome. They just keep buying and buying and buying gear. And I mean, it's good for the dealer, but in the long run, you're spending way more time buying gear and analyzing what's the next thing to buy rather than sitting with what you have. I remember I bought a Yamaha Rev 7, the very first one that came out, and I learned that thing inside out. I was doing live sound at that point, and I was switching between presets depending on how it was mixing on stage to focus, the effect on what was going on. And I just knew that piece inside out. And no, people don't do that anymore, and that's a pity. But I guess the whole point of this video is to say, sometimes you gotta stop the clients from buying more gear, and I would do that. But I just heard about another story. A dealer, the client called up, said they had $150,000. I want to put a studio together, and they just sold him a ton of stuff, and put the studio together. Didn't last more than 6 months, and he already sold everything off because he didn't know what he was doing. So you got to be careful. You want to make sure people not only buy the gear, but they understand what it does, and it complements each other. Because sometimes it's just redundant stuff that you're buying that one piece can do what the other pieces are doing. So why have it? So, all right, I'm rambling on. So there you go. It's I guess the topic is, getting people not to buy more than they need.